Bakit parang taka?
Good afternoon, guys. Morning.
Wag kang ngingiti.
Asset ko yun. Uy, gusto na ako pag-init ang ate ko. Yung...
Isang pala.
Wag, ayos lang. Hindi kakat ko na lang.
One, two, three, go. I expect this. Ganito ang mangyayari.
Magagawa po kami ngayon ng
Good morning. Sir, kami po ang
good day everyone. Book review. Ito, book review ng The Friar's Estate in the Philippines by Dennis Morrow.
ulitin mo. Diba? Good day. Kasi yung basahin mo ito, basahin.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat.
So yun po, ngayon po, sisimulan na namin gawin ang aming book review about
The Friar's Estate in the Philippines by Dennis Morrow.
Please na
And ito ang book review namin dalawa. Alam mo ba yung Friars?
Hindi pa masyado, pero
Di mo alam yung Friars?
hindi.
Yung Friars, mga ano yan? Tawag doon?
Friars.
Friars? Friars pala, di Friars.
Mga bobo!
Sorry.
Ano yan? Tungkol sa mga padre, ganun. Yung mga tao sa mga simbahan.
So, para mas maintindihan nyo mabuti, may lalabas kaming short na meaning kung anong prior siya. Ito siya. Ayan. So, yan. Mas maintindihan nyo na. So, pagpatuloy na namin, guys.
Perspective ng author. The Friar Estates of the Philippines, composed by Dennis Morrow, primarily talks about the monetary, strict, and social parts of how religious requests had the option to acclaim and utilize the enormous package of terrains in the Philippines under the Spanish system. The intentions of the creator were to clarify how the circumstances qualities of the later period might have been delivered so we can see whether the lacking sources uphold the possibility that was created. Dennis Roth utilized a retrogressive assault on clarifying history without simply separating the previous issue to the present. Intindihan mo ba sinabi ko? Ang pagkakaintindi namin dito ay kung paano yung mga padre kinuha yung mga pag-aari ng mga Pilipino sa buong Pilipinas. Hindi naman sa buo, I mean sa mga pinili nila. The Spanish time concerning the theme.
Ako nga dyan.
Okay, kapat mo.
So yun guys, this is another
Continuation.
ano? Guys, this is the continuation of the objective of the author. The Spanish time concerning themselves involved difficult examination on the ground that most report utilized for simply pics of the entire subject. The majority of the records were land titles, official concession, archives that were likely saved due to the significance in approving against the case of the private person. No records in the chronicles straightforwardly clarify the depiction of neither hacienda life nor pictures that can be utilized confirmation or maybe disappeared.
Decipher?
Ay, The chronicle straightforwardly clarified The depiction of neither hacienda life nor feature with that can be utilized, the confirmation may be dis- ano ulit?
Deciphered.
Okay.
Deciphered. Bakit?
Ayun na pala, deciphered.
Okay.
Dennis wrote intent to fill these holes by the cycle of ito historical thinking and some informed mystery. So as a cause, the per user or per user?
Tama. Per user.
Ha?
Per user.
So as parang kulang.
To cause. So as to cause.
So as to cause the per-user hindi ano ba per user? Per per
Per user. Per users.
so as to cause the per-users to
Comprehend.
to comprehend what monk domains are, Dennis wrote destroyed. The theme into piece of first is to clarify some unacceptable ideas about the Kalamba controversy, and next is on how history bequests assumed function in the asset of the revolution of 1896 with the utilization of clarifying a short review of Philippine social history. He likewise clarified how the Spanish crown and, and its association with the Philippines or regal patronage in light of the fact that the appropriation of terrains was the route for the Spanish crown to comprehensive the banish of colonizers
Colonizers.
colonizers of its domain, which some of them sold or gave their property to the ascetic request by utilization of the certain models and correlation with worldwide financial of rural function. The creator had the option to portray on the missing holes of the prior state of the Philippines.
The Friar Estates of the Philippines by Dennis Morrow book talks about the various parts of the hacienda framework in the Philippines alongside its monetary history by demonstrating how the strict requests came to get those haciendas. What motivations did they use to allure the locals to take a shot at their haciendas? For what a reason was a move in the hacienda world framework during the mid-18th century, and how the destruction of haciendas' financial benefit before long prompted the Philippine upheaval. The, ikaw na ba dyan?
The section which talk about the minister domains in the Philippines are separated into two sections, with the main half being devoted. Pinabasa ko na binigla devoted. Its accent, ay, wait lang, ulitin mo na nga na. Kasi yung pagpakalayo, lalo na babla. Yan. The section that the section which talk about the minister domains in the Philippines are separated into two sections, which the main half being devoted to its ascent, which at the point prompts the second about 50% of the book that subtitle its fall. The previous discussion about how the ascent of the monk domains in the Philippines was because of the monetary condition provoked by the climate in the area of the state, just as decreased difficult work granted by the strict request who possessed those homes. The last mentioned in the interim discusses how the huge size of the hacienda was its destruction, since worldwide exchange constrained it to become popularized which made Filipino inhabitants
Inhabitants.
Ay?
Inhabitants.
which made Filipino inhabitants imagine that they were being seized of their asset since they didn't know about the land award. Didn't know about the first land awards which shaped by bequest.
Maraming issue dito sa ano na to, sa libro na to. Lalo na yung pinag-uusapan yung ano, sa lupa.
The hacienda,
Mm.
which is separated into the two parts.
Sinakop ng mga Espanyol eh. Tapos, pagkakaintindi ko rin na ano, yung mga Pilipino kasi noon, walang ano, kaisipan kung paano yung transaksyon sa pagbebenta ng lupa. Kaya,
Sumusunod na lang din sila.
tas dun
Sa-
din, wala ko dun din nagsimula yung ano, yung pag-aamo ko, yung pang pagtatalo sa parehas na lahi. Tas naisip din namin yung ano, outline objective.
So ito yung outline objective is first, to talk about how the Spanish devout request possessed an enormous bundle of terrains and enormous bundle of terrains and how they lost them under the American success.
Number 2, to have the option to clarify the historical backdrop of the minister bequest before the Philippine Revolution of 1896.
Third is to has the option to clarify the early labor system actualized by the Spanish crown.
Or to have the option to handle the revolt of 1745.
Fifth, to have an option to clarify the ways on how ministers populated their domains that add to the establishment of labor.
6, to have the option to sum up the emergencies that influence current lower classes, the emergency in force and authority, nature, and demography.
And last is furthermore to have the option to make decision pretty much all information index upon making a new information what the Spanish monks and their homes becomes.
I think this books, ano siya, yung primary contribution niya, yung itong proof na to, legitimacy of ownership of the prior estate of the Philippines, which is many Filipino tenants question and became one of the causes of the vote. Ayun nga yung sinasabi kanina, isa sa mga na pagkakaintindi. Dahil wala nga masyadong kaalaman yung mga Pilipino.
Hindi ba nila masyadong naiintindihan yung mga nangyayari kung paano yung transaction na sa mga kanilang properties and inhabitants. So,
Tapos yung ano dito, sabi, taken overall, the book Prior Estates of the Philippines by Dennis Wood introduced a financial perspective which, as expected, turned into the reason for the flare-up of the Philippines Revolution of 1896. This distributed work zeroed in one financial ramification which thus affected the network in and around the ministry, homes encompassing the capital in the Philippines and Manila.
so ayun na guys, or sir, ayun na yung book review namin o ayun yung pinaka-summarize ng pagkakaintindi namin sa ginawa namin book review about the prior state of the Philippines.
Una, di ko talaga siya naiintindihan. Siguro dahil masyadong malalalim.
Malalim yung mga salita.
Oo.
Eh, parang wala pa tayong background about sa mga ganitong klase ng mga...
Hindi. Tsaka ano, di man tayo ganun ka-fluent sa English, kaya analyze natin ng mabuti. Kaya ayun yung pagkakaintindi namin.
sa amin lang sa pagkakaintindi namin.
Diyan po natatapos
1, 2, 3. So, dyan natatapos ang aming
book review.
Bye-bye.
Book review.
Mas di pala